It's been 17 years since the US adopted the African Growth and Opportunity Act. Now, that allows developing African countries duty-free access to the US market. The trade law applies to 40 sub-Saharan African countries. For nations like Lesotho, the law has been a good thing. The southern African country has exported an average of $400 million worth of clothing and other textiles a year. But participating countries have to meet a set of economic conditions, which critics say leave African markets wide open to floods of US goods. The influx makes it difficult for local industries to survive. Uganda is one of the countries affected. It's been importing second-hand clothes from the US for years, but that could all change soon, as Leon Solomon reports from Kampala.
New to him, Raymond Freedom is trying on second-hand clothes. Here, he finds what he can afford to buy.
These clothes are long-lasting. You're able to put on the cloth and for some time. The other alternative within my budget would definitely be the new clothes, which are usually coming in from China, and their durability is not good.
But the government of Uganda plans to ban imports of used clothes. It wants to create domestic demand for locally made textiles.
Now you can see there are a number of people who want to come in and build textile mills. We want to boost cotton growing, and we have already started. So you never develop once you depend on second-hand clothing.
But the office of the U.S. Trade Representative says the ban will hurt the American used clothing industry, and local business owners also fear they will suffer. One of them is Hilary Sebandeke. He has sold used clothes for several years. A majority of Ugandans wear second-hand clothing, and he says what the customers want is what really matters.
People here like the used clothes because they're rare. You can't find two people having the same shirt. New clothes are like uniforms. You'll find several people wearing almost the same thing.
Traders here sell both the new and used clothes, but they say they make more money from the used ones because most of their customers cannot afford the new clothes. US data shows Uganda imports more than 1,500 tons of second-hand clothing annually, and US exports to East Africa are worth $147 million every year. The US has warned it will review its relationship with Uganda if the ban goes ahead. But countries in the region want to outlaw imports of used clothes and shoes by 2019. For some, the industry is a form of recycling. For others, it is a way to put food on the table. But for the Ugandan government, it is strangling local industry. Leon Solomon, TRT World, Kampala, Uganda.
And Fidelis is still with us. Fidelis, so AGOA has been a mixed blessing for a lot of people there, as we saw in that report. What do people in Uganda say should replace it then?
Well, for the ordinary people, they don't have the money, they don't have the purchasing power to be able to get good new clothes. So they will always want the used clothes to still, at least for now, be readily available for them. Even though government is making, looking ahead in terms of looking at the bigger picture of trying to promote the textile industry. But again, it's very tricky because if there's a total ban, there are thousands of people who are going to lose their jobs, their dependents. That should be factored in. But if government is already pressing ahead, which might actually turn out to be a very unpopular decision at the end of the day.
Great. Fidelis and Bart, thank you very much indeed.